And we got a final between the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the San Francisco 49ers as the Bucs improved to 5-1, 30-19, and what was lingering as a one-score game for much of this one, but Baker Mayfield's playmaking ability once again on display, 256 and 2 touchdowns. And for more, it's always our pleasure to take you out to the site where lead NFL analyst Tony Romo joins us. Tony, this was another exciting one, and I want to go to Baker first and foremost here. What is impressing you the most or catching your attention, not just about the ability, but the downfield accuracy, the variety of throws, and the variability in playmaking right now for the lead quarterback there for Tampa Bay?
He's in that sweet spot of his career where his footwork, his arm talent, and his knowledge of the game all come together, and his athleticism was shown again today. He's slippery, he always gets out, but his instincts, I mean, he's looking off as well as anyone in the National Football League, and his arm talent, it's way up there right now. He's throwing balls that not many quarterbacks, are throwing right now, and he's putting them right in that exact spot. I mean, I couldn't be more impressed with the way that Baker Mayfield is playing. Second
favorite in the MVP odds at last check behind only Josh Allen. Speaks to what he's been able to do early on in this season. I don't think it's a bridge too far to climb to that other sideline and pose a question of their quarterback, because we've seen time and again that situation can dictate success. Baker spends a little time with McVay. Darnold spends a little time with KOC. What's Kyle Shanahan doing for Mac Jones' career right now?
Well, you heard us when we were on the air when I talked about that, because I was going through this week. I was like, what's funny is that resurgence of these quarterbacks. The one constant is they each go, whether you call it the quarterback whisperer, but they learn the game and learn how to think at the quarterback position a little bit differently when you get around McVay, you get around O'Connell, you get around Kyle Shanahan. And I think you're seeing these guys really perform at a high level because it tightens up the way you think, and it allows you to kind of be like, oh. And it doesn't mean they haven't been around good coaches. It's just there's just a certain spot that where you're at in your career matches when you go with them. And I think there's a reason why each of these coaches goes out and gets these guys. They see something in them that they think they can work with, and it's shown. And I think Mac Jones has shown that. Today he got fooled twice on interceptions, but I think it's the reason why they were 4-1 coming in a lot of ways because they brought in Mac Jones.
Tony, you and I, we often sit here and wax poetic, about quarterback play, but I want to talk about a quarterback of the defense for the San Francisco 49ers. We're likely not going to utter the name Fred Warner for the remainder of this season, and he remains one of the great defensive players in this league and maybe underappreciated players. For a team already so touched by injury, what does San Francisco lose there in Warner?
Well, I think you found once Warner went out, there was way more open looks for Baker Mayfield. People were wide open, and in the NFL, that's rare. There's people busting on coverages, and one of the touchdowns to Johnson, and then there's other ones where it's just like someone's playing too slow and they didn't get to their spot quick enough. So much of that is because the leader of your defense communicates what the coaches tell you, and he goes ahead and tells the D-line, right, left, hey, cross that off, boom, here we go, down. And it's like that all happens in 2 seconds. That guy's gone. Nobody else with 8 new starters on that defense has even remotely the ability to communicate like that, much less his talent and ability, because he was playing at a Defensive Player of the Year type of level up to this point. And, that hurts your heart for someone like that who works so hard. He's one of the good ones, like just people you root for.
Yeah, he was unfortunate to see him go down in that fashion, and we hate to go out on a morose note, but wishing a speedy recovery there to the star linebacker in San Francisco, Tony Romo. We always appreciate your time here on HQ.
Thank you. Appreciate you, Ed.
So the Tampa Bay Buccaneers improve one better, taking down the San Francisco 49ers here. Jim Nantz, Tony Romo, Tracy Wolfson on the call, and for that, we always give thanks. A look at your most passing touchdowns in first 40 starts after changing teams. Baker joining Tom Brady and Peyton Manning as the only others to go for 80-plus. More to come here on CBS Sports HQ as our conversation continues out in Tampa Bay. Our guys weighing in on the latest, including what might that ceiling be for Tampa this season? We explore next. Back with the guys, and Bryant McFadden, I want to go to you here because I know not just this week, but prior to, you've been saying the name Baker Mayfield with some MVP type regard. The numbers are one thing, but MVP caliber play always has something else, an ism, some sort of intangible. What do you point to in Baker right now that's leading him to that level?
The grit that he displays when he plays the game of football. When you watch Baker Mayfield play and you look at the box score, you see his numbers, you're like, okay, yeah, he put forth a real high-level display of production. But then when you watch him play, you feel his energy. I mean, the defining moment for me in terms of just explaining who Baker Mayfield is as a football player, not a quarterback, because I don't consider Baker Mayfield a quarterback. He's not in that category. He is a football player that happens to play the quarterback position, and you rarely see these type of things with players that throw the football. That 3rd and 14, 3rd and 16, where he bought time in the pocket, he evaded defenders, and he went and became a runner. And he didn't run to slide. He ran to convert the first down, and he left it all on the line. Knowing he was going to get hit, it didn't matter. He lowered his shoulder, and he was determined to convert that first down. The whole stadium felt that. That's why you cheer for a guy like Baker if you just love seeing quality football being played week in and week out. That's who he is. And guess what? They're following his command. Yeah. They're following his footsteps. That's why they're doing what they're doing with a slew of injuries. Today, you lost another key contributor to the offense, and we don't even feel it. You still get the job done. The best sign in terms of seeing how good your quarterback is, his ability to make the other guys better than what they are.
Here's the thing. I'll tell you this straight up. Close the polls, stop the count. Baker Mayfield is your MVP.
Whoa.
Yeah, when you think about
but like right now, you're just the vote has been cast.
The vote is in. I'm done. We're done counting. There's no more counting. I'm done counting for you guys. Because the reason why when you talk about Baker Mayfield and an MVP, what's rings true in our minds, these MVP moments. When you think about Josh Allen winning the MVP last year, what was it? The run he had against Kansas City. Every week, Baker Mayfield is doing an MVP type play, and it's no different than the Heisman Trophy. You think about Heisman moments, he has MVP moments. And what we're seeing from this Bucs team is reminiscent of the 1980 Cardiac Kids with the Cleveland Browns with Brian Sipe, the 1983 Fun Bunch, Washington Commanders when they got all the way to the Super Bowl, the 2000 Giants when John Foster, late great John Foster, went on there to say, hey, we're not going to lose another game. And they were 7-4. They didn't lose another game. 7 straight to the Super Bowl, although they got blown out by the Ravens. You also look at the 1994 San Diego Chargers when they was winning all of those games like this fashion that the Baker Mayfield, Tampa Bay Buccaneers are winning these games.
I will say the real MVP conversation didn't start until Christmas last year when Lamar went around the edge and we actually had to start having that conversation. But inside track here, according to our friends in the desert, Josh Allen to go back-to-back, not far behind Baker Mayfield. You made a great point.
Yeah.
We were watching this game about current success and how it relates to past failure. Everybody wants to do the victory lap or the loss lap, if you will, and point to all the places that it didn't work before. What confluence of events is leading to this success for Baker?
Okay, so we all want to go back and look at that Rams game that Baker Mayfield had after, he had parted ways with the Carolina Panthers. He went 1-3 as a starter with the LA Rams. That wasn't a start. So he won 2 games, he lost 3. Okay, but even before that, everyone talks about why did the Cleveland Browns screw this up? Because you got an MVP, right, in Baker Mayfield to believe Emory Hunt, and the Cleveland Browns just gave him away to Carolina. I will just go back to when the Tampa Bay Buccaneers signed Baker Mayfield, and they signed him a couple of years ago to a 1-year, $4 million contract. I didn't misspeak. A 1-year, $4 million contract. And when he got there in training camp, they held a quarterback competition where they split first-team reps between Baker Mayfield and Kyle Trask.
Who?
And so, exactly. And so while this is how did everyone, but look at what the Bucs did. The Bucs didn't even know 2 years ago, all right? If somebody else offered Baker Mayfield a 1-year, $5 million contract, he probably would have gone there. And so that is the only point that I want to say is that, it did not work in Cleveland. And but we all lived it. And if you were in Cleveland, you knew that he couldn't continue to be the quarterback with the Cleveland Browns. There was going to be a mutiny, and Baker Mayfield didn't want to be there anymore. Should it have worked with Carolina? Sure. Could it have continued to work with the LA Rams as a backup because they had Matthew Stafford? But even the Buccaneers, where it is working, they've gone to the divisional round, they went to the wild card round with him. They didn't know that. And now, by the end of this year, after this year, they will be paying Baker Mayfield. He signed a 3-year, $100 million contract 2 years ago after that 1-year deal. they are going to pay him this offseason because they're not going to allow him to go into the final year of his deal like that. So he's looking at a $50-ish million per year payday.
No question. And you know what? I'll be remiss if I don't highlight Todd Bowles. Because if we're talking about Baker Mayfield potentially being the first quarter MVP of the league, Todd Bowles needs to be in that conversation as the coach of the year in the first quarter because of everything that he's done. You talked about being 5-1. Every week it seems like they're losing a guy to an injury, and they're still finding ways to win ball games. So Todd Bowles, he doesn't say a lot, but right now his coaching has been felt because they're one of the best teams, not just in the NFC, but in the entire NFL.
And the teams feed off the mantra of the head coach. We talk about this all the time. If we're locked into a tight game, and I look to the sideline, I see my coach flipping out, how you expect me on the field to maintain my composure? If you look at Todd Bowles, you don't know if they're up 30 or down 30. He don't even know if he's up 30 or down 30. So it's like the team reflects that emotion.
And I like that mixture of personalities between quarterback and
head coach.
You have the energy and you have the calm coming together, and it has bared fruit. This is, once again, a 2 or more touchdown performance and no interceptions for Baker Mayfield. They've played 6 games. He's done that 4 times already this season, playing clean football and making the big play. Let's get back to the immediacy of this moment. Again, 30-19 is our final, and a loss here, the first with Mac Jones starting for the San Francisco 49ers, but I want to go to the defensive side of the ball and the bigger loss within this one. It's an all-world linebacker likely out for the season. We all saw it happen, and our thoughts do go to Fred Warner here as he hopefully has a clean and speedy recovery, however real that might be in what he has in front of him. Mac, the green dot was his, obviously. The green dot behind the green dot was Dre Greenlaw, who's no longer there. What does this defense do? They are down so many all-pro type bodies right now.
Yeah, that's the thing. They're down so many major players, and you lose Fred Warner. He's one of the more respected players in the National Football League. Regardless of who you cheer for, you don't cheer for, you respect his body of work. And when he went out, it felt like the entire stadium deflated because of the respect he had from either side. But this is the nature of the NFL, guys. Unfortunately, these things happen. You got to get ready to play the next play and find a way to compete to win ball games, man. And for San Francisco, they've been dealing with injuries just like Tampa. Brock Purdy didn't play once again. They've been missing wide receivers throughout the lineup. They just got to find a way to stay as healthy as possible because, yes, they lost today, but they're still, they're 4-2. 4-2.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So they still have an opportunity to compete, try to get into the tournament. But losing Fred, man, it sucks because I just love watching him play.
It's sideline
That's the
to
thing.
sideline,
Yes.
a million miles an hour, covering guys 25
And
yards
it was a freak
downfield.
accident that led to him getting
He was
injured.
hustling.
Hustling to the ball, wasn't lackadaisical, got rolled up on. We see it all the time. Usually it's a sprained ankle.
Yeah.
Not when they bring
sprain.
out that air cast.
Right.
You never want to see that because you know exactly what happens with that.
And so what actually is going to wind up being even more significant is that the San Francisco 49ers need even more to trade for an edge rusher. They needed to do so after Bosa's injury. There is no replacing Fred Warner. So there's not, let's go trade for a linebacker who is going to be as instinctive and is going to be as
Doesn't
good.
exist.
That person does not exist. This is the best inside linebacker there is in the game. And so what they're going to have to do, this defense under Robert Saleh, they're going to need even more affecting the quarterback from the edge to cover up losing an all-world player in the middle like Fred Warner. They're going to be making calls. Don't know who that edge rusher would be. It may not be this week. The trade deadline is November the 4th, but the Niners have been on the hunt for an edge rusher since Bosa's ACL injury. I think that heats up even greater now.
And with that being said, they're a playoff caliber team. Even with all the injuries, they're still good enough to win the necessary ball games. So I think that would maybe provide a sense of urgency. To your point, and the first thing that I think about, if you say edge rusher, Trey Hendrickson.
Who went out with a back
Who
today.
went out with a back. We don't know the
have to see.
severity, right?
We don't know the severity
Yeah.
of it, and you're talking about a true pass rusher at that point, right?
But I was about to say that you saw the direct impact of Fred Warner.
Yeah.
Baker Mayfield's 3rd and 16 scramble probably doesn't happen if Warner is out there spying or patrolling.
I'm just thinking of this team relative to the one that was so close in Las Vegas a couple of years ago. This defense, the attrition, it's been dealt, the exits as well, from Hufanga to Ward to Armstead inside, Bosa now
Greenlaw.
injured, Greenlaw injured in that game and no longer a San Francisco 49er. It's just a long way from where they once were, but it does feel like the leadership in that room can keep them afloat and keep us wondering if this team is going to have enough defensively to get it done. Offensively for San Francisco, Mac Jones has done just about everything you can ask of a backup quarterback, to the point where there's been some static, some swell around this guy for the long term. What might it look like? But does this performance, or at least this result, magnify the need for Brock Purdy in the short term?
I mean, regardless of how they were winning ball games, this is Brock Purdy's job. There's no quarterback controversy going on with Mac Jones if he started 5 games and they're 5-0 and he threw 10 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. This is Brock Purdy's job. They
the
just
money
paid
says
him.
otherwise.
Yes, the money says otherwise, and you trust Brock Purdy more so than Mac Jones. He is a backup for a particular reason, right? And he did what backups are supposed to do. I get an opportunity, I weather the storm, keep us afloat until the main guy is back. And he even said that, and that's what I really appreciate from Mac Jones. He understands what his role is. That's why there's nothing swirling in the wind in San Francisco about any quarterback controversy. Now, today, he just didn't have his best effort. They couldn't run the football and put more pressure on him. They sacked him 6 times. He was already limping anyway. Had that Dan Marino, Don Joey knee brace on, so you know he wasn't really mobile. And he just tried it. He fought. It wasn't enough.
I do want to close with a thought here on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and on the winning side, Emery. When we get into these MVP-type conversations, it often gets loud around one player. And, yes, we've highlighted the wide receivers, what Baker's been able to do with a rookie in Emeka Egbuka, who, as we said, goes down with injury in this one. Who is the unsung hero right now for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? What are we not looking at that we should be?
Cade Otton has been playing really well for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The tight end, he's been a nice safety valve for Baker Mayfield. He's done a great job in finding the sticks and converting on third downs or converting whenever they need a play to be made. So you look at him, and now we can talk about all the other receivers that they've been thrown in. We talk about Tez Johnson making a big play, a big catch, fantastic catch, by the way. But Cade Otton has been the steady, calming voice at the tight end position for Baker Mayfield, which has given him some semblance of continuity within that offensive attack.
I would say certainly a Tristan Wirfs, right? He was out for a while, and they bring him back. He is a big reason why this team is able to do what they are able to do. Look, this is a really well-built team. Jason Light and that front office there with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I don't think they get enough credit. I think you're talking about a top 3, top 5 general manager in the entire NFL. And so credit to them, and again, it's great to be lucky sometimes because there's no one over there who would have told you when they signed Baker Mayfield to the 1-year, $4 million contract, that guy's going to be leading or in the top of an MVP race in a couple years. This guy's going to continue our streak of winning NFC South championships. This guy is going to have our team playing better than what Tom Brady had them playing before he retired again. No one was going to tell you that, and no one in Tampa Bay was telling you that either.
Behold our genius in Tampa Bay. It has all aligned and has us feeling like we might be looking at an MVP and might be looking at a representative in the NFC. A look here at the road ahead for the San Francisco 49ers, who, as Max said, don't sound those alarms just yet. They sit 4-2. Yeah, attrition has been dealt. They are down bodies, but Kyle Shanahan, Robert Saleh, this coaching staff, going to have their guys ready to roll. Now, is it time to add some guys? Our Jonathan Jones says, work those phones.